In a special way this weekend, we celebrate Mother's Day. We celebrate those women who are mothers and grandmothers, godmothers and spiritual moms, and those who are mother-like figures in our life. We also remember in a special way those women who have lost a child and still grieve their loss, and those who desire to be moms, but in no fault of their own are unable to have a child. Mother's Day, falling within the Easter season every year, reminds us that women play a crucial role in creation and in God's overall plan, because God himself was born of a woman. And we should never forget that the joy of the resurrection was first proclaimed by women. Women throughout the centuries have been beacons of hope and icons of courage, role models and patient teachers for humanity. In my own life, my amazing mom has taught me so many skills and nurtured so many gifts and talents. One of the most important lessons she taught me is how to be silent. Because in our readings this weekend, we are invited to be silent in order to be able to listen, to hear, and then to follow. To be able to listen, we first have to be silent. We cannot hear if another person is talking, if we are talking over another person as well. That is why so many people followed Paul and Barnabas in the first reading in the Acts of the Apostles, because they were silent and listened to what they said, and then they followed after them. This caused the Jewish leaders to contradict Paul and Barnabas, and then they were able to respond appropriately by renouncing what the lies that they were saying and inviting more people to follow after them. We need to be silent at times in our lives in order to respond correctly, in order to understand what is actually being said, and to respond in a way that has meaning and authenticity. If we are constantly surrounded by noise or talking ourselves, we will be unable to hear the words of those around us. Silence is crucial to any culture and society in order to listen, but more importantly, to understand. We know all too well in our current society that some voices are louder than others. Some voices are more honest and more truthful, and some voices build up rather than tear down. Our gospel this weekend reminds us that Jesus is the Good Shepherd whose sheep hear his voice. And by listening to his voice, those who follow him are led to eternal life. This Sunday is known as Good Shepherd Sunday and World Day of Prayer for Vocations. It is a reminder to all of us that priests and religious do not simply fall out of the sky. They are nourished in communities such as this and in families like your own. And in order to hear what God is asking of you to do with the life he has given you, you have to be silent. Because my mom taught me how to be silent, I was able to hear the voice of Jesus call me to priesthood at my first communion in 2003. Because my mom taught me how to be silent, I was able to hear the voice of Jesus and deepen my personal friendship with him, which has helped me to encounter him and the people I minister to today. Because my mom taught me how to be silent, in this first year of priesthood, I have been able to listen to others and help them the best way I can as their priest. The work of priests and religious is to help others to recognize, to hear, and to follow the voice of Jesus in their own life. To hear the voice of Jesus, we first and most fundamentally have to be trained on what that voice sounds like. And to understand that voice, we have to have a deep desire to know Jesus. We have to have a desire to follow where he leads us. Jesus Christ, risen from the dead, offers each and every one of us a personal relationship with him. And he is alive and at work in the world through those who hear and respond to his voice, through those who follow after him, through those who desire to be with him in eternity. The apostles recognized Jesus after the resurrection because of his voice, because of his words of encouragement and mercy and love. As his disciples today, Are we listening to and following the voice of Jesus? Are we defending the dignity of every human person? Are we accepting people for who they are and journeying with them to find and to encounter Jesus of Nazareth? Are we being agents of love and of reconciliation? The voice of Jesus throughout the Gospels is, in fact, a voice of encounter, of mercy, and of love. The church needs more men and women to courageously follow the voice of Jesus, to be his servants in the world, to help others to hear his voice. Without the priesthood, the sacraments would not be celebrated. The risen Lord would not be present among us and his people weekend after weekend as we gather around this altar to encounter him in the Eucharist. Without religious communities, hospitals and schools, parishes, orphanages, and outreach to the poor would cease around the world. To hear the voice of Jesus is to hear the voice and the call to serve. To hear the voice of Jesus is to follow him, to help others hear and recognize his voice through self-emptying love and ministry to all of God's people. Jesus, the Good Shepherd, does not differentiate between those who hear his voice and those who do not. Jesus came to save all people from all backgrounds and all walks of life, from all ethnic traditions and cultures around the world. No one should be and no one is excluded from hearing the voice of the Good Shepherd and beginning that journey to eternal life through the sacrament of baptism. All people are valued, all people are worthy, and all people are redeemed in hearing the voice of Jesus, the Good Shepherd. And that is the focus of ordained ministry and religious life, that all people be saved and hear the voice of Jesus. We all desire to be in that great multitude that we hear about in the reading from Revelation, standing around the throne in our white garments, from every nation and race, people and tongue. We all desire to hear the voice of the Good Shepherd and to follow him to eternity. In a few moments, Jesus, the Good Shepherd, will come among us in the food of eternal life. In order to hear what he is saying to us, we need to be silent. We need to spend time in prayer after we receive this great gift and to listen to his voice. Because in that moment of reception of communion, Jesus is coming to us to tell us how much he loves us, how much he desires us, how much he wants us to bring his love to the world in our words and our actions, and how he desires us to be with him in eternity. May this Eucharistic meal allow us to see what we believe in, Jesus, the Good Shepherd, who calls us to eternity, and to become what we receive, a voice of love and mercy to those that we encounter on this journey of discipleship. Jesus, the Good Shepherd, risen from the dead, speaks to us today and every day. But in order to hear him, like my mom always taught me, we have to be silent.
Hello, OLPH. My name is Mary Lynn Januszewski, and I'm the Director of Finance and Operations at Our Lady of Perpetual Help Parish in Glenview, Illinois. And this message comes to you with heartfelt gratitude and thanks for your ongoing generosity and support of OLPH Parish. This overwhelming generosity allows us to continue to serve and to minister to the parish community in so many different ways. So thank you, OLPH, for all you do. You are much appreciated.